What's up guys, Sagi here and welcome to another Tech Gear Talk. So I just finished making my M50 Mark II reaction video and I covered what I was expecting and what was reported by Canon rumors and then finally what we actually got. And I also included my opinion about the M50 Mark II and who should and shouldn't get it. And while I was editing that video, something occurred to me. Maybe there is no M50 Mark II. Let me explain. And in order to understand what I mean, let's talk about just some of the features that we're getting in the M50 Mark II over the M50, and then I think it'll make more sense. So starting out with the sensor, I'm okay with the 24 megapixel sensor, but we are getting the same sensor that we have on the Mark I. Like I said in my other video, I think for the average user who's using the M50, they don't need more than 24 megapixels. They might want more than 24 megapixels and they can get that by paying more for the M6 Mark II, but they don't actually need it for photography. So while I'm okay with it, it is the same sensor that we see on the original M50. Now moving on to the processor, I was hoping for the Digic X or 10, whatever they call it, but instead we're getting the same Digic 8 processor, again, that we have on the original M50. Not talking about autofocus. There we're not getting the same feature. So we're getting an upgraded dual pixel CMOS autofocus, or maybe it's like the 2, whatever they call it. It is the upgraded version. I think it's closer to what we have on the R5 and the R6. It should be faster and more accurate. It gives you more control over autofocus speed and sensitivity. We have better eye tracking and eye autofocus for photos and for video. It should work when the subject is farther away from the camera. So it's definitely a significant improvement over what we have on the original M50. And even though we're not getting animal eye autofocus, we are getting improved subject tracking. So when you click on a subject, the camera will track it as it moves through the frame, better than with the original M50. Moving on to the next feature that a lot of people are interested in, 4K video. We are getting the exact same thing that we have on the original M50. So we have 4K only at 24 and 25 frames per second. There is an additional crop and there is no dual pixel autofocus when shooting in 4K. And like I said in the other video, if you're primarily gonna shoot in 4K or if you want 4K with reliable autofocus, you should look at another camera. From Canon, you can look at the M6 Mark II. From Sony, at this price range, you can look at the A6100. Fuji has the X-T200 and Nikon has the Z50. It's more expensive, but that's sort of their lowest tier APS-C mirrorless camera. It might be their only one right now. It's a really nice camera, but it's a couple $100 more than the M50 and the M50 Mark II. Moving on, as far as battery life, we're not getting the upgraded battery that the M6 Mark II has, and we're still using the LP12 battery that we have on the original M50. And that sort of goes hand in hand with the next thing I want to talk about, which is the form factor. I was hoping to get at least one other dial so I can have aperture and shutter speed with dedicated dials, but we're not getting it. The M50 Mark II is the exact same form factor, same buttons, same dials, same flash, same electronic viewfinder, same fully articulating touchscreen, same ports. Everything is exactly the same as what we have on the original M50. So keep that in mind. But I do want to mention the one feature that I am really excited for, and that's a record button on the touchscreen. That's something that I think every camera should have. I only had it on one camera. I still can't remember if it was the 5GX Mark II or Mark I. I think it's the Mark II if there is a Mark II. It has it. I really liked using it. I was hoping the G7X Mark III would have it, and it doesn't. So that's a feature that at least I really enjoyed using when I had it. Moving on to the next feature that we're not getting on the M50 Mark II, I was hoping for upgraded audio levels, display, and control. So I was hoping that just like with the 90D, you'd be able to see the audio levels before and during recording, and that you'd be able to modify them while recording. So right now, with the original M50 and with the M50 Mark II, if the audio levels are not set properly, you'll need to stop your clip, go into the menu, change it, go out of the menu, start recording again. So it's not ideal. It's definitely a better user interface and user experience with the 90D. Now moving on to the next feature that I was hoping we were gonna get, and we are getting, it's a clean HDMI output. So while the ports and everything else is exactly the same, we now can get a clean HDMI signal out of the M50 and into a capture card or an external recorder, so it's really a perfect camera to stream in 1080p. If you want to stream in 4K, then again, you're not going to be able to use dual pixel autofocus and you're going to have that additional crop, and I would probably look at another brand or the M6 Mark II if you want to stay with a Canon. Another feature that we're getting on the M50 Mark II is vertical video, so now you can just place the camera vertically on a tripod or even handheld, and now you can record dedicated content to mobile first platforms. So something like Instagram or TikTok or anywhere where you can use external video, you can go ahead and use the M50 Mark II, and you don't need to sort of flip the video once you get into editing because it's coded that way. But essentially all that's happening there is that video is being marked as vertical so that the editing software or your phone or wherever you're viewing it knows to automatically flip the video. Now, another feature that some people were interested in, I didn't think we were gonna get it, but that's IBIS or in-body image stabilization. And that would mean that they would need to make a change to the body where the sensor would be able to move and compensate for sort of camera shake or any kind of movement that you're introducing to the camera. So that's something that we're not getting. We're just getting the electronic image stabilization that's in the body and lens-based optical image stabilization. So what does all of this mean? And why did I say there is no M50 Mark II? Because the body is identical to the M50. The buttons, the dials, everything is exactly the same. It's the same sensor and the same processor, the same fully articulating touchscreen, the same electronic viewfinder, the same battery, but all the new features seem to be software-based. So isn't it possible that Canon just released a firmware update and then packaged it and marketed it as a new camera? Unless the new dual pixel CMOS autofocus requires something other than a software upgrade that would use new algorithms to analyze the data, isn't that the exact same camera with just slightly modified software? So I just wanted to share that with you and then get some feedback from your perspective. This doesn't really change anything about the new camera, the M50 Mark II, but again, it's just not what I think most people were hoping for. And the price of the M50 Mark II is $599 for the body or $699 with the kit lens. So like I said before, the price is fine. And again, my guess is that you're not gonna be able to buy the original M50 for very long. Once again, if you don't want 4K, if you just want a light and small and portable camera that's super easy to use, easy menu system, you love the fully articulating full touchscreen, you want excellent autofocus, you can now have vertical video, and then you wanna stream in 1080p, then the M50 Mark II is a fantastic option. Like I said in my other video, I just can't see a large number of people upgrading from the original M50 to the Mark II, and I can't see anyone who actually wants 4K buying the new M50 Mark II. And I'm very interested in knowing what you think about this, so let me know in the comment section. I'll put some links in the description where you can buy the original M50 and the new M50 Mark II, as well as some of my favorite lenses and accessories. And I really hope I was able to give you a good overview of the M50 Mark II and why I think it's possibly the M50 with just a firmware update. It sure looks like it to me. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, tweet it, share it, and if you haven't yet, join the community by hitting the subscribe and notification buttons. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tech Gear Talk. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.